Jayek Minigishget, Gizautasat Ndejnikas, Bodewatami Mdamen Dodum. Hello, my friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Helping Woman, Gizautasat. I am Potawatomi and from the Loon clan. Today we are making a really simple, easy treat. It is healthy. It is full of carbs, so if you're watching your carbs, be a little bit careful. But elders will love this, kids, everyone will love this. If you've ever had Cracker Jacks, this is where it comes, this is where it comes from. So all you're going to need is, and that you can, if you're allergic to nuts or you don't want nuts, just omit it. But I have about 2 cups of crushed walnuts, and we're going to toast these. I have a cup of popcorn, some nice coarse sea salt or kosher salt. We'll need a little bit of sunflower oil. If you don't have sunflower oil, you can just use any kind of vegetable oil, and then maple syrup. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is get our syrup started. We're going to need to bring this back up to 220 degrees. That's what you would boil it to as you got the sap from the tree. And then you boil it to reach 220, and then you get maple syrup. We're going to bring it back up to 220 and then go a little bit further to about 225, almost 230. You don't want it to go over 230 because then you're going to start to make sugar, and we want it almost like sticky caramel. So we're going to go for 230 max. So you'll need it like a candy thermometer too, unless you can eyeball it, then you're super talented. So let's get started. Okay, so I have 1 cup of maple syrup. Make sure it's real maple syrup if you're buying it at the grocery store and not corn syrup. You want the real stuff. Hopefully you've been able to make your own this year, but if you have to buy it, make sure it's pure maple syrup. So we're going to do 8 ounces or 1 cup. And we're going to bring that up to temperature. I'm going to go ahead and add my candy thermometer. You don't want the end of the thermometer sitting on the bottom. You want it raised so it gets not the bottom temperature of the pan, but the actual syrup. So that your temperature will be more accurate. Okay, so we'll get this heating up. Okay, so I moved my maple syrup over onto the stove so that I can start the next part. We're going to go ahead and pop our popcorn. So this is my designated popcorn pan. You can use a popcorn maker if you have a popcorn maker, really with whatever you have. And then I'm going to, fresh brand new bottle, I'm going to add about probably 3 tablespoons of oil. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yep. About 3 tablespoons of sunflower oil. You just pretty much want enough oil to coat the bottom of your pan, and so that every kernel is also going to get coated in the oil. We're going to let this heat up for a minute. Okay, I think it's pretty heated up. You just, if you get a couple drops of water on your fingers and flick it in, make sure you stand away so it doesn't splatter you. If it immediately sizzles and dissipates, then it's ready. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of popcorn or dried kernels, and then just mix it up. You want to make sure all of the kernels are coated in oil. And you should right away hear the sizzling of the popcorn, but it shouldn't be popping yet. I like to keep moving it around without the lid until they just start popping. Because I've noticed that a lot of humidity gets trapped and then you kind of get soggy popcorn, and we don't want soggy popcorn. It's really close to start popping, so I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on, and hopefully the magic will start soon. Now make sure you keep checking your maple syrup to make sure it's not boiling over. Mine is boiling now, but it's not even up to 200 degrees, maybe to almost. But anyway, so take a look at that. You don't want to burn your maple syrup, or you'll end up with maple sugar, which is all right. You'll just need to, reheat another batch of maple syrup so we can get a caramely maple syrup. Okay, so it's popping super good right now, and I just let it go until the popping stops for a few seconds so that I don't burn or scorch the bottom. It's not rocket science. We can pop popcorn. No big deal. Or you probably have a popcorn maker. Just use that. Just don't add any salt yet. only the oil, and we'll get this all popped, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so it's pretty much done popping. Like there's a couple stragglers going, so I'll wait a couple seconds. Well, I use this giant bowl because it's going to make it easier to mix. So just whatever large bowl or container you have will work great. Get that popcorn in there. And then I'm just going to very carefully dump the popcorn in this large bowl. Okay, next step, if you're putting nuts in, and you can use peanuts if you want, but traditionally we like walnuts. You can use pecans as well, but walnuts are very traditional to where we're from, the Anishinaabe. So I like to use walnuts, plus it's a great source of protein. And we're going to toast them. So to toast them, I use a fairly large cast iron skillet, but you can use any kind of, you know, saucepan or skillet that you have, as long as it's pretty large so that you can get all of it toasted. So, and we don't have to wait for it to heat up. You don't need to put any oil in because you should have a nicely seasoned pan. And we're just going to dump those walnuts in and start to toast them. And then just every couple of minutes, you know, stir them up. You'll know it's almost like it'll get very aromatic and smell amazing and get a little bit more darker in color. Here, I'm going to do a close-up so you can see. Okay, there, now you can see, and I wish you could smell it because it does start to give off a really nice nutty aroma. And we don't want it burnt, we just want it toasted. So you want to make sure you keep stirring as it gets up to temperature. And toasting it is going to bring out more of the flavor and the natural oils in it and just make this dessert or treat or a snack even that much tastier. It just adds a whole nother level of flavor. So we're going to have the nuttiness of the nuts, and then we're going to add the maple syrup or maple caramel, if you will, and then we're going to put in the kosher salt. So you're just going to have all these different levels of flavor. Okay, that looks about done. So now we're just going to go ahead and add the toasted nuts to the popcorn. Beautiful. We'll just toss it just a little bit. So now here's our maple syrup, and it's about up to temperature. Let's see. We don't want it boiling over, so we'll remove it from the heat when it starts to do that. And just keep watching that thermometer. We're just about there. It gets really touchy at this stage because I don't even have it on high at all. In fact, I've turned it off. We're just a few degrees away from 230. And then when we add it to the popcorn, you're going to want to start stirring immediately because it does start to set up pretty quickly. And be really careful you don't splash this or get it on your skin because it can cause third-degree burns. We're almost there. Okay, we're just about at 229, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the thermometer. Make room for the popcorn bowl, and then we'll go to this next step. Now you're going to slowly, you're not going to use your hands because you're adding in something really, really hot. And just go ahead and spread that over everything. And then just stir. My mom would make these all the time at Halloween in the fall, and it was like our favorite thing. It made the house smell so good. So this brings back like the best memories of hanging with my mom, and she was always making stuff like this. And you just want as much coated with the maple syrup as possible. And it's already starting to thicken on the sides of the bowl. So that just tells you had it the right temperature because you do want it to thicken like caramel. but you don't want it to start to turn into that candy stage. That looks great. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to add the salt. And I really like the really coarse, almost like pretzel salt, if you can get that. I don't like to use like the typical table salt, iodized salt for this, because it just makes it too salty and it overcomes everything. But if you use this nice raw, like the nice coarse salt, kosher salt, or even like pretzel salt, it makes it that much better. And then you can taste it at this point to see if it needs more salt. It's totally up to you. So add just a little bit at a time, and then you can taste a little bit. And if you need more, you need more. So there you are. And it's so perfect. It's just like caramel, but with maple syrup, no dairy, no gluten. You can remove the nuts if you don't want nuts, or use different kind of nuts. And it's perfect. You can put these in little baggies, or my mom would even form them into balls, but they're so hard to eat and they really make a big mess. So I like to just put them in baggies or paper sacks, like Cracker Jacks. There you go. Doesn't this look great? So here you go. Maple syrup popcorn. I hope you enjoyed your time here. I enjoyed it. This is always so much fun and easy to make. I hope you make it, and then let me know what you all think. And until next time, Bon appetit.